Stanley, I believe this place was called Margaret's Hacket, was it?
Yeah, Margaret Bredgen's Hacket.
Yeah.
And that was Margaret Bredgen's house there.
Right.
Which is a complete ruin. And it had been destroyed and rebuilt and made into a turnip shed by my Uncle James.
Okay.
See?
And who was Margaret?
Oh, that's a way back in history. I couldn't tell you.
No.
All I know is the names. You see, when I was young, I think I was just as interested in what I was hearing as what was left.
Yeah, yeah.
Hearing so much that had disappeared out of the village.
Yeah. She was a school teacher, though, was
she? Yes, she was a school teacher. And they must have had a bit of land because there's a field out there still called Margaret's Field.
Right, so that, and this would have been just the Hacket area which belonged to the croft over there.
That's right, yeah.
And where did your mum go to school then? Did they went to school
to
there?
start there, yeah. And then this road coming down here, you see the little gate there?
Yeah.
That was the road in. Now we'll come round to that the other side, but this was the main road into Cregneash, and turned up there in front of those two houses.
So initially people would have gone to school here and then moved up to the church area in the 1880s.
Yes, well that lasted for only 2 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Education Board then, you see, came along and they made the school in Port St Mary and everybody had to go down there.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's it. And this road here, the effluence was coming out of the stable and cow house down the open road and into this gutter in the old days. I remember that in my day.
Yeah, yeah.
It was in the 1930s when the Northern Lighthouse Commissioners built a radio station up there. This was all altered.
Right.
This road was built up.
And who built this up then? Was it the Northern Lighthouse?
The Highway Board.
Yeah.
And if there was snow, this was about the first road in the Isle of Man to be cleared of snow because it was so important.
Okay.
That if anything wrong with that station up there, navigation station for ships, this road had to be cleared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Well, we'll walk down here then, see to the bottom where the two roads converge.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go down. A lot of just water being run down here then, water
yes, and all the effluence from cow houses and people emptying the things, and it was rich in nutrient.
Yeah,
and we'll come to that just now.
Right, good.
What our ancestors did.
Yeah,
they didn't waste it.
No.
That you could say we've had a shoemaker in the village, we've had a blacksmith, a joiner, and a stonemason, but nobody would stand up and say, never thought that I was the thatcher.
Right.
You know why? Because everybody could thatch.
Yeah.
They had to. Yeah, so that's the difference.
Yeah.
But here you are, it's all drained now, you see.
Good, well let's have a walk down then and see where the roads come together. Well,
there was a cottage here, a farm, and this was their cow house.
Okay.
That was Merck's cow house, and this was Merck. Now the Mercks were very important people. They were business people, the Wattersons. And they moved out really, and this is all that remains of them now.
Yeah.
And if you go down to Port St Mary, there's a port down there called Port Verk. Well, that comes from Port Mark.
Okay.
Up here.
Yeah.
Because straight down, when they're going to Port St Mary, they go straight down through Glenchas. And there's a lane down there still called Watterson's Lane, going down to Port Verk. And there were very few people living in Port St Mary in those days. And this was Merck's little house and Hacket. And upside there, that originally was, as far as I know, Watterson property, and the two cottages up the road there.
Yeah.
Now here you are. See the corner there? This was a cottage, but this was Jonah Cates, and I never remembered it as a cottage, but the others I do. And this here, Gawns, and they were very fine people, and they had a lot of land out there. And it came down to Mrs. Starling. She was the last descendant. Here's the gable end of the house. And I remember that, but I never remember them occupied any of these. They were all finished when I was young. It's only when I heard about them. But what I remember particularly about this cottage is, my brother and I were at the well one day getting water, and we heard a crack. We looked round, we saw a puff of dust going up, and the next thing, down goes half of the roof, and that was the end of it. It was never replaced.
So do you walk, do you get around the village every day now? Yeah, you still get for a ski
Oh,
round?
I very often do, yeah. Meet all the young ladies here, you see. There's several in the cottage there.
Stanley, we've got behind us what referred to as Crebens. I believe it was redeveloped in the 1920s,
He was the blacksmith.
Right.
See, Crebben came up from Port Erin, I think, wasn't it? As far as I know. And that was Crebens. And they had, we'll see that in a minute, the donkey house.
Yeah. Who lived in there before the Crebens?
The first people I lived, well, I think the Crebens built it.
Right.
2 cottages here. And in the 1920s, I think it was, we could find that date out.
Yeah.
You see, I'm going a lot by memory. It was sold to some Liverpool people, a gentleman and his 2 sisters, and they came and decided they'd take the roof off and build it up a story. And there was one, I always remember one incident, a dear old lady that had lived in Cregneash, moved down to Port St Mary, and when she met me, she says, I hear that Cregneash is now getting more like the League of Nations every week.
Right, okay.
Because strangers had come in.
Yeah.
You were the first strangers to come in here and rebuild.
Yeah. So it was very unusual to get people from outside the Isle of Man to come here then.
Oh yes,
so
they were about the first that came to alter things.
And who was living in there before they bought it then?
People the name of Karran. They came over from the Coot direction over there, near Balnahow.
Balnahow, yeah.
Yes.
Can you remember them at all?
Oh yes, I knew them well.
Yeah.
I'd often be going getting a load of water for her from the well.
Yeah.
Fetching it up here and giving it to her.
Yeah. And did they own land here then? Did they have any land access to it?
The Crebens, yes.
No, the Karran, is it?
The Karrans didn't. They had he was just a labourer, you know. But the Crebens, there was a field out there still known as Crebens Field. But that field, believe it or not, has disappeared.
Right.
Because when the chap bought the land all round it, he pulled the 2 hedges out.
Right.
But I understand he bought it after that. Because there was no use, you see, the people, they had so little up here, they had to move off to earn some money. Yeah. And that's what happened.
Yeah. And you said Karran was a farm labourer then. Would he worked for various people here?
Various people, fishermen.
Yeah.
You see, the basis of here was, most of them were fishing in the fishing season. And then they had to do whatever they could, apart from, even the small holders who had a bit of cow and a bit of land, the men, it was always the women who did the work.
Yeah.
And the men went off to work.
Yeah.
And my sister was about the last of the crofters. Now that was a crofter, see, she lived down the Sound Road. And it was my sister that did all the work, looked after the cows, sheep, and her husband was a shoemaker and he went off to work every day. Yeah. And that's the way they used to live a lot in those days. Yeah. The women did an awful lot of work. Yeah. When my uncle was farming here, as many a time I was given a bucket full of milk, go down to the donkey house and give the calf a drink. They were shut in there.
Right.
Yeah.
There wasn't actually a donkey in there, though.
Not in those times.
No,
No,
just called the donkey house.
The donkey was dead and gone long ago. by
Moved
then.
on, the pastures
Yeah.
new, yeah. So who's what? That was part of the Karran croft then. This place here.
I don't think that ever belonged to the Karrans.
No.
It's over the hedge there. Yeah, belonged to the Karrans.
Yeah. And what in this field just opposite then? Is this where was it the Ellises who stayed here when they were doing up?
Oh yes, they
Cregneash?
just that's just temporary. That was that's not history at all. That's only the 1920s.
Yeah,
I'm
a blink
going
of the
back-
eye ago. Yeah.
What I'm going to do is go back 90 years.
Yeah. But tell me a bit about the 20s though. Were they living in a caravan there?
They had a caravan and a hut joined up, and they lived in that while they did the house here.
Yeah.
But what I'm concerned about is what I heard and saw
Yeah.
over 90 years ago.
Yeah. What can you remember about Mr. Hudson then?
Well, I remember Mr. Hudson working his loom up in Serby, and then it was bought and put in here.
Mm-hmm.
He was an old man then, of course, and that was the loom.
Was he one of the? He was obviously very skilled.
Oh yes, a weaver.
Yeah.
You see that door there? It says Weaver Shed on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the first Thai veg that was built in Cregneash. Because the Crebens, they moved away, you see, it's in the 19th century this, and they got a bit upper class, and when he was fetching his wife over here to meet his people, he had to have something decent for her.
Absolutely, a good
to go
Thai
in.
veg.
Yeah, and that was the first in Cregneash.
Right, okay.
Pity they were ever built.
Right.
It was more hygienic before that.
Yeah. What did they do before that then?
The bucket and chuck
Right,
it.
okay, bucket and chuck it. Stanley, I've got some myrrh here.
Yes.
It's a great smell on it anyway, isn't it? You know, what can you? I mean, I think there was a story about your sister. Was it Emily coming down?
Emily coming down. Old Christmas Eve, I think.
6th of January.
Yeah, and that's when it sprouted. Yeah, even in snow, it would sprout on the 6th of January.
And so the tradition would be to come down and witness it sprouting.
Witness it sprouting, yes.
And there's a story about is it about the cows supposed to be bending down?
Oh, well, yeah, that's another story. That concerns a 3-year-old bullock. He used to go down on his knees, and I think it was that same night, and pray. And people would say, why? I don't believe you. There was no such thing as 3-year-old bullocks. They were all killed by then, but they weren't. They were kept as beasts of burden. And a lot of the work out here would be done by bullocks, pulling the implement at one time.
Were people very religious, do you think? And certainly in your youth and before, people had quite a deep sort of religious conviction.
Absolutely,
yeah.
For instance, well, yes, my uncle was telling me he disturbed a grave out towards the big mountain. And he said to his father, well, I'll come out with a pick and spade and we'll dig it up. You will not, he said. You'll leave it. That was sacred. And they wouldn't touch it. And that's the way a lot of them have survived through the years.
Good, and these were old traditions which have existed for many hundreds of years and etc. But would have died out in the 20th century. Probably died out with as the Manx language died out as well. Probably a lot of these traditions died then, I would imagine.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Well, it was the influx of the English people coming here that absolutely killed it. Because see, there was no future in speaking Manx.
A lot of the older people didn't see any future, any real value in learning the language.
No value in it. And my mother, now you've heard of Ned Madrill, he's told me more than once that my mother was a better Manx linguist than he was. But she wouldn't speak in Manx to us. But on a couple of occasions, I remember a friend of hers coming up from the How in the summertime. This time of the year it was fine, and I heard a conversation going on for at least 4 hours and not a word of English in it. Solid Manx. And yet, when she'd go home, finished.
That's it. I think a lot of them also, Ned Madrill was a great speaker, but the Karrans were fantastic speakers and also very intelligent and articulate in Manx as well. But I think they thought well, times were changing, the language wasn't as
Yeah.
used as much, and
Well, a lot of the people went away locally,
Yeah.
but a lot of them went away also. And after the school here was built and education came along,
yeah.
what happened then?
Well, the education very much through English, wasn't it?
What did we get? We got from Cregneash here, we get professors, fellow of the Royal Institute of Chemistry, chemists.
Oh, we're bright people from
We
Cregneash,
must
no doubt.
boast about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Master mariners,
Yeah,
marine engineers, certified first class
Yeah.
out of this village,
yeah,
advocates and accountants,
yeah,
and PhDs by the hatful.
yeah.
That's
yeah.
we've had descendants of this village.
Must be the Mer.
The Mer it is.
And what about the well? Tell me a little bit about, because we've seen many wells as we've gone through the village, but there's another one here which is quite obvious to people walking
It's
through
obvious,
the village.
yes, but it's quite useless.
Right.
It's dry now, it's drained
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
and
It wasn't a good well
that
in
was-
your.
no,
No.
Strong Waterson's well,
Yeah.
and we'll see behind us here
Mhm.
where Waterson's house was, right across the road.
Right.
There's no road up through here.
Yeah. And so if this wasn't particularly good water, then what
No.
would people use it for? Just for the
Oh,
cows and.
Yeah, washing up or swilling down.
Yeah.
This was two small holdings here. There's two cow houses just round the bend there, and they both had a cow each in. And they reared a calf, you know, but they had no horse. And they got their work done by, well, they did a lot of the work out here by spade and scrape in those days.
And this was Karran property, isn't it? You know, it's cool
Yes.
van. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, this was Karran property.
And with
And the pigsty was just inside the gate here. There's another pigsty gone. I don't know if we counted them all or not. I think I've counted about
we've got a
8.
few of them, yeah. So.
And there's not one left in the
yeah,
place.
yeah.
And they were all identical.
What about?
Oh,
Sorry,
oh.
Stanley. I was just going to ask you about the roof here, because this was one of the first places.
First
to be,
two houses built in Cregneash that were never thatched. These two.
So these two never had a thatch on them at
No.
all, then.
No.
Yeah. And can you remember them being built?
Oh, Lord,
no. No, it's much earlier than,
No.
than you were around. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Karrans did the Karrans give the property for the church then? All this area further on up where the church is just
Yes,
behind
they
it,
were-
that would be
they
Karran
were
property.
cousins of ours,
Yeah, yeah.
John Karran.
Right.
And
It must have been a difficult life, especially working on Spanish Head and the lintels and things like that. It's quite a precarious existence up here.
oh
really.
yes, my father's took me out there to show me where his father, that's my grandfather, cleared the soil away to start work next day. When he went out next day, he turned round and came home and never went out again,
Yeah.
because he left his tools too far out, and when he'd come out the next morning, the whole lot had gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big slice of rock gone down.
Yeah.
So that was enough.
Yeah.
He might have been standing on it, cleaning it the day
Absolutely, yeah.
before.
What about the chasms up there then? Were you told never to go anywhere near the chasms as a youngster? Just keep away from them?
We know. I was always warned not to go near the cliffs, you know,
Yeah.
because it is dangerous,
Mm,
especially if you didn't have the right equipment.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was always accidents out around there.
Yeah. And what about further down in the chasms there, where you can still see the ruins of the cafe down there, the chasm
Oh
cafe.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so that was people in Cregneash seeing a business opportunity around the
Oh yes,
chasms.
they used to charge them in those days to go
Yeah.
down the chasms.
Yeah.
It's a job to imagine it. Yeah.
Yeah. They weren't allowed to do that, I take it. Were they just sort of saying this is sort of our territory, you have to pay to have a look at it?
It was just because they owned it.
Yeah, right. They
Or
did own
rented it, they
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
But there was a lot of people came up here. The way into Cregneash, the main way, was by the chasms and down that hill.
Yeah, yeah. And then they'd walk in
And
through
walk-
here, would they?
Some would go to Bodair and some would walk down to the Sound.
Yeah. And so was that quite a good way of making money in the summer then, taking money from the
Yes.
tourists? Yeah.
And up to 1935, everybody who went down to the Sound had to walk about 3 miles.
Yeah.
because 35, he made the road down.
Okay.
And I've heard all the tales from Mr. Lowy. When the highway board went down the road with him to step out, we want a few square yards here and there. And those, up to 1935, there was 2 gates on the Sound Road. It was only a cart track. And when he got down to Mappy's house, you know Mappy's house?
No, you must show me that later, Mappy's house.
Down
Yeah.
the Sound. When he got down to there, he says, now I'd like you to stop here at that gate, because then his animals could go all round, you see,
Right.
from one side to the other.
Yeah.
And they said, no, if we can't go to the bottom, we'll cancel the whole job. And in those days, it was charity.
Yeah.
When the Isle of Man steeper packet closed up for the winter, see all the men, local men who were out of work. And they put these schemes on to make up the roads to suit them. And I understand the wages was 39 shillings a week. And if there was no work, they had to go to the parish, or no dole, and beg pretty well for about 15 shillings a week. So they had to, Mr. Lowy had to give them permission then, you see. They put the road down, they put a turning point at the bottom, because this was the start of the motor car age, you see.
Yeah.
And no parking down for the cars. All they could do was drive down, turn around and come back. It was Mr. Lowy who made the car park down.
Yeah. That must have been quite a revelation to have a car up here, I would imagine.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody would run out to see what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And what about the charabancs, the buses coming up to Cregneash? When did those, and bringing visitors to Cregneash, when would that have happened?
That was after 1935.
Yeah, you'd need the proper road.
In fact, it was, there wasn't much in the way of charabancs coming up even then,
Yeah,
for a few years.
yeah. But it's always had a big attraction for tourists, you think, Cregneash?
Yeah, oh yes, absolutely. There was 3 tea rooms here, one at the Chasms and 2 over on the Balnahoe Road and 1 down the Sound.
Yeah. Would people stop in all 3 of them?
Oh yes, but there wasn't full meals in those days. Just teas and biscuits and cakes and
Yeah.
chocolates and sweets, all
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's all changing.
yeah.
Change is inevitable, it comes.
Absolutely, absolutely. When did the cafe down the Chasms then? When did that finish as a going business?
It just carried on for a short time after the end of the Second World War. Yeah. It wasn't a viable proposition much longer.
No.
With the roadways made up and the income of the motor cars.
Yeah,
That stopped it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any sort of, did the tourists look down on the locals here at all? Did they see them as slightly, old-fashioned?
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was amusing to them,
Yeah,
the way they talked and all that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did the local people in Cregneash pick up on that, do you think? Did they realise that some of the tourists were looking down on them?
Oh yes, yeah. You see, in the Second World War, the German planes could come up the Irish coast, just across where I'm pointing this stick now, to the south of the mountains of Mourne, and the whole place was lit up. They could come up there and cross here then in from Liverpool, Manchester, wherever they wanted. But that station there had them and gave the warning.
Yeah,
It was a very important station.
yeah.
Very important place, Cregneash,
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's surprising that in quite an isolated community, still in the Second World War, it played quite a significant role, didn't it, really?
But it's all disappeared.
Yeah,
All the locals have gone.